Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be on all of the JUVIA'S palettes that have come out to date. There are about 6 of them, which include the blush palettes. 2 of the blush palettes and 4 are the eyeshadow palettes. In my last video regarding the JUVIA'S Saharan blush palette, someone asked if I could do a review on all the palettes, so I told them that I would, so that's why you're seeing this video today. So in this video, I'm going to kind of give a rundown of the palettes, what I personally think of them, if I would recommend them to you, if they're worth the hype. If you're interested in seeing more about the JUVIA'S palettes, then please keep on watching. The first JUVIA'S palette that ever came out was the Nubian. It comes with 12 shadows. This palette is basically your standard neutrals palette. If you're a beginner, I would highly recommend this palette because you have all the bronzy looks. You have your golds, you have your coppers, you have your browns, you have your great transition colors. It's an amazing palette. They're extremely pigmented. This color right here is what I have on my lids today. It is beautiful, the mattes from the shimmers. So these are a couple of the shades. This on my middle finger is the perfect transition color for me. I kind of pop it in. It kind of makes it easier for me to blend up colors or just to do like a really neutral look for work. I love this palette. If you are a makeup junkie, if you have a lot of neutral palettes, I would say to skip on this one because I'm pretty sure you have these colors in your collection already. It is an amazing palette, so if you love collecting palettes, by all means get it. But if you have colors like this and you're looking for a palette that's different from your collection, I would kind of skip on the first one because it is just a regular neutrals palette. The next palette that came out by JUVIA'S was the Nubian 2. Obviously this packaging, I didn't take a moment for the last one, but just their packaging itself, the artistry, whoever creates their images, you need a bonus because they are amazing, they're eye-catching, and that's why I wanted to buy them in the first place. I didn't even care if they weren't that pigmented. I just love the packaging. Since I'm on the topic of packaging, these are cardboard packagings. It has a magnetic clasp. The first 3 that I've noticed do not have the names labeled on the top, but the newer palettes like the Saharan have the names up top. So with the newer palettes, if you were to place this book style, you would be able to see the name of the palettes up top. However, the first 3 don't have that same name on the book end. This is the Nubian 2. This one is a mixture of your neutrals with a couple of pops of color. So this blue one, which is Cleopatra, and Egypt. When I saw this palette, I knew that I wanted to use Egypt. It's a beautiful green color. It's so buttery, so green, like a forest green. I love that color. Cleopatra is a beautiful royal blue. Let's do another one. Nefertiti is like in yellowy orange. And let me do one of the mattes, and this is Madagascar, which is a nice cool toned brown. Just look at these colors, especially the shimmers. These shimmers are amazing. Like, do you see that? Like, do you see those swatches? And this has been no primer on my hand. To be honest, swatching with hands is a lot different than with a brush. So just, you know, a disclaimer with that. Sometimes with brushes, shadows will come out as pigmented. I've had amazing results with just using a brush with these palettes. So what I like more about the Nubian 2 than what I like with the first Nubian is that it has a couple of neutral colors, but then it also has pops of color, so you can mix and match, like do a very neutral eye on top and then add maybe the blue or the green in your waterline for that pop color if you don't like to use just straight up color on your lids. The thing about this palette that is kind of a con for me is that there's no matte light brow bone color. It's just this shimmery color here, Zuri. This is the lightest color, but there's no real other color that you could put in your brow bone. Also, there are really only 2 transition colors, Morocco and Madagascar, which are a little bit too dark. Sometimes when I do my transition, I like to go in with a really light color and then go in with like a deeper orange and then a deeper brown. The con about the Nubian 2 is that it doesn't really have a lot of transition colors compared to the first one. Also, the size is a lot different. I got the larger Nubian 2 palette, so like the size difference is like apparent. but I do love these palettes equally. I think I like them for different reasons. This one would be a nice everyday neutral palette, and this one is a nice one that can go with this one that you can use to mix and match and add pops of color. The third palette that came out by JUVIA'S Place that created so much hype on Instagram and immediately caught my attention was the Masquerade Palette. Just the packaging, the purple, it caught my attention. This is the larger size version. They do have a smaller size version that's kind of similar to the size of the first Nubian. So do you see the difference? Like, this is basically twice the size of the first one. So if you're like me, you have 20 million neutral eyeshadow palettes and no pops of color. So when this palette came out, I was like, yes, I have 20 million neutral palettes. I do need some pops of color for the summer or just to experiment and get out of my comfort zone. And this one gives me just that. This is just beautiful. It has your neutrals, it has your pops of color, it has your browns, it has your reds, it has your blues, it has your greens, it has your purples, it has nice like champagne-y colors and highlighty colors, and just just yes. The first three on my fingers, these three are shimmers, and this purple is a matte. So the first color on my finger is Dahlia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. I'll put the name somewhere here. Dahlia. The second one is Giza. This one is, I think this one is Zola, I believe. Yes, this one is Zola, and this one is Zobo. And they are pigmented, Lord child. Like, can we? So you can't see. Dahlia is a little hard to see the way I swatch it. But look at this. Look at this color right here. This white color. Like, yes, that's so beautiful. The blue all over the lid in the summer, or if you're not feeling as adventurous to do the full blue on your lid, you could definitely pop it on your lower waterline with a nice neutral look up top, and it'll give you a nice pop of color without being over the top. Because I honestly truly understand that I'm the type of person, I don't really feel comfortable putting bright blues or oranges or yellows on my whole lid. I'm the type of person who prefers them on my lower lash line. If you're looking for a palette with just a lot of bright colors, I highly suggest this one. This one is just beautiful. You do have your neutrals, you do have your kind of like safer colors down here, but then you have these top colors which kind of bring a pop of color. I really enjoy this one. The fourth palette that came out by JUVIA'S Place was the Saharan eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like. It kind of reminds me of the new Natasha Denona palette that just came out, the Sunset palette with like the red, but this one is kind of like another neutrals palette. It has your neutral colors with just a couple of pops of color. I do love this one, Kia, which is a mermaidy blue, like a very dark blue. Sakota, which is the matte red. You have Fula, which is like an iridescent purple. And then you have Iman, which is like a stark white eyeshadow. They are extremely pigmented. I have no primer on my hands. This, like, the pigment on this is beautiful. Do you need this one? Do you need this one? Maybe not. It's not one of those palettes that really blew me away. I think what kind of caught my attention was this red one and this like black gold color next to it called Woldabi. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. But this palette isn't kind of like my favorite out of the bunch. I just like the red because I feel like red is a really hard color to make, and a lot of palettes don't have just a nice red eyeshadow, so that's kind of why I got this one. This isn't one of the palettes that I really pull for. It's just okay. I prefer the Nubian 2 and the Nubian, as well as the Masquerade over this one, but it is a beautiful palette. If you're more into red, earthy, like these reddish tones, I suggest you get this one. So if you guys watched my last video, then you know about these two. These are the last two palettes that have come out to date from JUVIA'S Place. They are the Saharan blush palettes. This is volume 1 and volume 2. Similar to what I showed you in the video, they're just 6 blushes in both palettes. Both palettes are extremely different. This one is more darker shades, this one is more lighter. I would tend to use this one more. I used the first one today. I mixed Toby and Zayn. When I first put both on my cheeks, I had to take my beauty blender and kind of add a little bit more foundation on top because it was so pigmented that I started to look like a clown. I ain't about that life, so you know, had to kind of get rid of it, but they are beautiful palettes. I have used both these palettes on my eyelids as eyeshadows. They work perfectly fine for that. They are extremely pigmented. Like for those blushes, all you need to do is lightly tap your blush in and then tap off the excess and put it on your cheeks, and it'll be extremely pigmented. That's all you would need. I highly suggest them if you're trying to upgrade your blush collection. If it's not that big, it gives you a lot of variety with colors. You can obviously use it for eyeshadow too. You can obviously multi-use that blush palette. There are also a couple of eyeshadows in the other palettes that you could use as highlight. Like in the Masquerade palette, you can use either Giza or Dahlia, or if you're a little bit darker skin, you could definitely use Casablanca as a highlight. These colors right here as a highlight. All in all, I love Juvia's Place's eyeshadows and all of their products. As you can see, I have all of their palettes. I 100% stand by them. I think they're extremely pigmented. The price is right. They're very affordable eyeshadows. You don't need to go out and buy a $120 palette or a $300 eyeshadow palette. It's not necessary. You save a lot of money. There are also a bunch of discount codes floating around for Juvia's Place. Just Google Juvia's Place coupon codes and a bunch will come up. You'll save some money, which I think is great. Their shipping is incredibly fast. They have amazing customer service. Go and support them. I love them. Like, the products are bomb. They're great for any skin tone, from the lightest of the light to the darkest of the dark. Please go check them out. I'll leave a link on this video and a link below to their website. I have not tried out their single eyeshadow, so I wouldn't be able to tell you about my experience with those. I do want to try them out. I just haven't had the time to actually go and look at the colors to see which ones I would want. I also haven't tried out their brushes or their eyeliners, but maybe in the future I will. If you guys want me to try any of those, just leave a comment down below and let me know about what single eyeshadows from Juvia's you want me to try out, or their brushes, or the Saharan eyeliners. As always, subscribe if you enjoyed the video so you can be caught up on all the videos that I post. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, comments about Juvia's Place, about any of the products, about pigmentation. I'll try my best to answer all of them. Also, follow me on social media. I have Snapchat and Instagram. I'll leave them somewhere here. Go follow me on there. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one. Bye.